Hey guys, welcome back out in the garage. Today what I want to talk about is velocity. Okay, velocity is a very well-known word, let's just say, because in intake manifolds and cylinder heads, uh, we try to keep velocity up, but we still want like CFM. Okay, but a lot of times when we port cylinder heads or intakes, depending on how we do it, we can lose velocity. And when we lose velocity, it slows down to the point where you might have less, bottom end, you might have to turn more RPM, or you may get something really huge to where you want to even add more cubic inch to your combo, to your engine build. So I just want to kind of talk about that a little bit. There's a lot of videos out there on velocity and CFMs and everything, but today I'm not going to worry about CFM, I'm not going to worry about pressure drop or nothing like that. Just more or less, just talk about velocity, okay? And just kind of show it. On my old YouTube channel, I showed a lot using this tube here. This, of course, is usually mounted in the back of the bench right there. But how I find air, because when air crosses this tube, it moves the liquid, and the faster it crosses the tube, the higher the liquid goes, okay? And then the slower it passes, then it doesn't lift as high. So you can't really say it's a velocity. I can't measure speed with it. So, but I used to call it a velocity stick or a velocity tube, but some guys say, oh no, that's nothing to do with velocity. Well, if I was to shoot air across it out of my air compressor, a little air across that tube, it'll move it. If I put a lot of air across it, it moves it even more. Some people say that's just pressure drop or whatever, which is fine, okay? But we're gonna call it a velocity check today, all right? Even though we don't know the actual speed in mile per hour or anything, but we're gonna physically see it move. And it's gonna be kind of exaggerated because I'm not gonna put a cylinder head up there and let the air pass the tube and then go in there and pour it in. I'm not gonna do none of that. I'm just basically gonna use these two fittings here, okay? These were hanging on the IDL over there on the pegboard. One's got a little smaller hole than the other one, as you can kind of see. So we're gonna say this is your cylinder head or your intake or the plenum, and this is what you went to. So basically, I'm going to have this sitting up there. I'm gonna pull air through it. We're gonna see, it's gonna make this move, okay? And we're gonna see how it goes, and we're gonna try to slide that scale. I kind of rigged it. I don't like the way it kind of rubs the tube and stuff. I wasn't real happy, but anyway, we're gonna set that, and then we'll put the bigger. We'll say this is the ported one. We're gonna say this one is still this one, but after you ported it, you came up with this size, okay? Then we're gonna put that on, and let's see how much it raises the liquid here as the air passes the tube, okay? And we're not worried about any of this stuff up here because we're not doing any CFM or nothing. And that's all working off of pressure drop as it goes in percentage. So this is just air, this one here just works off how much fast the air passes that tube, okay? So, again, and you guys seen me use that before, finding little areas. And I found vacuum even. I've had guys port their heads, bring them to me to flow and stuff, and I'll go in there just to kind of check it and find where air actually went the other direction, where they made vacuum the way they ported it, okay? Or where air doesn't move at all. There was no reason to touch that area no more, because even if you kept touching it, of course you're slowing down velocity because you made the hole bigger, but you didn't gain really no CFM or nothing. So it was just that's how you find the bad move, okay? By using something like this. And then the modern stuff's all electronic, it's all digital, and you can just stand back and watch it all. This is all mechanical, so you actually still have to physically do everything, and you can see it with your eyes, and there's no glitch or whatever that word is. Like it could be a little electrical thing and have a little surge or whatever, and it might mess with you, okay? I guess you could have it manually, but seeing it is just different, okay? And I always like to kind of show I'm an on hands guy if you haven't already noticed, especially on the other YouTube I had, because it had a lot of videos on it, or a lot more I should say. I was always showing more on hands, and that's what I like doing instead of just using a whiteboard or a computer or something to show it. I kind of like doing it this way. That, to me, it's just better. I don't know, old school. So anyway, this is our intake or cylinder head, and this is going to be after we ported it. We're going to see what happens. All I did was to cover this hole, because this has got the bore in it to do cylinder heads, of course, and these will fall right through. So I just put a coffee can lid up there and bored a hole in it just so these will sit on it. Okay, it's kind of like the same thing when I go to calibrate the flow bench, because I have to, I always keep it calibrated before I do any type of flowing. And that's what this is. It's got 4 little holes around it and the big hole in the center. And that just sets on there. And I know what this reads, and I know what the numbers are in my settings. And so this calibrates, and once it's calibrated, then I'm ready to flow. But I didn't want to open this up just for this with this plate, because this plate fits nicely over it. I just made, like I say, took a coffee can lid, bored a hole in it, and just kind of set it on there. It's going to be fine for this test. And again, it's going to be a little exaggerated because this is all I had to work with. I just wanted to find whatever I had in here, okay? I didn't want to go buy anything just to make a video. I just wanted to use what I had. So I will move the camera forward up close, so we'll be able to see this sitting on here, and we'll be able to see this at the same time, because it used to be back there. And like I say, this little scale is kind of sketchy, but I think it's going to work for what we're wanting to show. And again, I think actually seeing it move, to me, it just tells you, your brain and eyes kind of work together, and it's just cool that way. Alright, so let me go ahead and move this up. Oh, I'm going to turn this to number 4. We'll start here on number 4. This dial, of course, is a flow rate orifice or whatever. That's what it's really made for when you're flowing cylinder heads or intakes or whatever, carburetors. But we're gonna act like this is the RPM or the cubic inch. We'll word it like that, because I'm gonna move this at one point in this video to kind of show something. All right, so anyway, let's see what happens. And we're gonna start off with the small one. We'll use the small one first. We'll go back and forth a couple times. So let me go ahead and move this up forward. I have to lower it, ain't I? Okay, so let me blow that up. Alright, so I'll set this with the small one. It's basically, I'm gonna set it right like that. I don't know if you can even, yeah, there it is. Right there. And then we're gonna turn the machine on, and we're gonna see how high this side lifts. This is gonna go down on this side, but since it's pulling air, this side's gonna pull up, okay? And we're gonna see how high it goes, and I'm gonna try to set that scale if it doesn't mess with me. All right, so let's go ahead and get that. Let me see if it's already slides. Okay, it already does a little bit. Okay, so here we go first, and we're gonna say this is your cylinder head or intake before you touched it, because you want to know your numbers before you start it, so you can see your improvements. So. Actually, on my hair high, once I stood back, that thing kind of messed with me. Let me see if I can knock it down a little bit. Oh, there we go. Let me do this one more time. About right there. It was moving just a little bit, but kind of got the idea. Like I say, this isn't a perfect test. It's more of just kind of seeing things. So now let me back that up. All right. So the scale is set for uh, the original cylinder head or intake, but we got done porting it, and so here it is. Okay. You can kind of see the difference. Again, exaggerated a little bit, but let's go ahead and put that on. Now, let's blow that back up. And let's just see where it goes. Okay, it didn't even get close. It didn't even get close. So let's just go ahead and put the small one back on. Make note, don't touch anything else. And let's just see if it goes back. Okay, so we probably gained CFM, of course, using this one. If we were flowing it, but we lost velocity because it was just enlarged so much, we lost a lot of the velocity. So now, what we're gonna do? So basically, let me just back this up for a minute. I'm gonna raise it back up. So basically, kind of like the intake manifold, I put those extensions in on that strip dominator because it's at 8200 to 8600 RPM intake right out of the box. So I put runners in them to bring that RPM down, okay? So those runner extensions, I should call them extensions, not runners, but that was to bring it down because a lot of builds, we only want to go like 76 or 78, but we want to use a strip dummy because that's what we already have it, so we might as well use it. And I like doing that. I've done like 4 or 5 of them already, and I currently still run the one I've done since the 90s. You know, I always use it on different combos, but anyway, that brings that RPM down to like 78. We don't have to go like 86, you know, to get the full thing out of it. Or you can even get them to go down even lower. So that's one that you can do now that we did the velocity, slowed it way down. Another thing, you may have to go more cubic inch. Let's say you're building a 302 and you did all this and so, oh no, you know, I really slowed it down. You may want to build a 331 or a 347, you know, or something a little more cubic inch, or switch over to a 351 Windsor because those heads will go right over on that off your 302. So this, you know, you can do something like that, or you need to turn a little more RPM. But to turn a more RPM, you may have to change something else like the camshaft, or you know, maybe even compression, or whatever your combo is. So what I want to talk about, going back to this gauge here, we are on the number 4. Let's just say this is the cubic inch. This is a cubic inch meter, or maybe an RPM meter of some sort. So let's go ahead and put your ported intake or the cylinder head back on that you slowed all that down, and we're gonna flow it, or pull air through it I should say, and then see if we can get that liquid to reach back to what we had, what it's gonna take, but with the CFM you have with the bigger porting, okay? So let's move this back up real quick. Okay, and let's lower this down. So what I'm going to do is basically turn it back on, and then let me back this up real fast, sorry. And I'm going to use this, and I'm going to start turning this until I can match where the other one was. And that's going to show the difference, how much we had to do. It might just be a slight move, or it might be more move, we'll find out. Let me move this back up so everybody can kind of see that part. right there, it went all the way back up. We got it back to where it was. I'll turn it on one more time. Okay, we got it to go all the way back to where we started from the small one. So now the big one here got the CFM, but we got the movement of the smaller one. And to do that, you can clearly see, I had to go almost to the 6. It's right under the 6 there. Well, actually, you might as well say it's the 6. So, again, that gauge there could actually be RPM. Let's say that was an RPM gauge, or that might have been the cubic inch, whatever. So anyway, you had to figure it out somehow. But it clearly shows that you're going to need to turn, for sure, more RPM to get this big one to match up in there with the velocity. That doesn't mean it's going to work backwards and make it like this, like the small one. That's why I say it's kind of exaggerated, because I want to kind of show you how it moves. So basically, once you start doing something like that, kind of repeating myself, I guess, you're going to have to change something. If you get it really big, you may not have to. Let's say the cylinder head's already, let's say you have a little more cylinder head than you already need for your build, then it may, or vice versa, you don't have enough cylinder head for your combo. This may match it even better when you go this, when you start pouring it bigger, it may even start running harder. And because even though you change the velocity, it may even run better because you were struggling to get the RPM you wanted with this one, and now it's a breeze. You can get right there, and then you got your ET, now you got whatever you need. So anyway, that was a little exaggerated. This is a way of checking how fast air moves. I can't give you a mile per hour or nothing like that with this thing, but how fast air passes that tube when you're in there moving around into a port. Again, some people say it's a meter that's telling you, pressure drop and stuff, which that's what that is, okay, percentage, and that's what this meter over here is. But this, I could put the air hose, again, on the end by it and squeeze the nozzle on the air compressor, and depending on how fast I want to squeeze it, it'll move this, because the air speed that goes past it pulls that up farther. Okay, so we can call this anything we really want, but today it was our velocity test. Okay, so anyway, and I think seeing that how the air moves faster through it, it raised that. So that's to me, that just, I think it makes more sense to see it and have your brain kind of work with it. If you go and watch, there's a lot out there about velocity. I mean, velocity is a good thing to know. Okay, so there's a lot of good YouTube out there to watch, and a lot of them though is using, again, they're just telling you about it, or they're using a whiteboard or a computer. There's not a lot of them that's actually showing you. They may have one out there, I think, that had a gauge, and you can kind of see it was digital. Okay, so as long as you can see something, I think it's better than not being able to see it. Okay, that's just me though. I'm very old school when it comes to this. So, and this machine is a great tool, and I've done so much with it in the last 30 years, and I found very good things using this machine here, and found ways to port cylinder heads without taking too much material out, and get what I need. Okay, get the CFM I was shooting for, and kept the velocity up. Good machine. All right, guys, that's enough of me talking right now. So as always, stay safe out there, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.